Sandeep Chachra, let me bring into the conversation here. What do you feel when you heard what the farmers have had to say? That there is an absolute denial of the fact that any pollution comes from Punjab and it's all being blamed on industries. First, it was blamed on firecrackers. And once again, like I said, yes, don't burst firecrackers. That also adds to other problems. It does add to some sort of environmental issues as well, but that's a separate conversation. Firecrackers, vehicular pollution is also something that governments are continuously working towards, but this one problem that every year we spend a month talking about it and then we wait for the next year to spend another month talking about it. Why is it that we can't move forward? And today we've reached a stage where the farmers are in a complete state of denial. They say nobody is burning stubble in Punjab.
Thank you, and festive greetings to all, and thank you for having me here. I think the way to approach this, Devika ji, is to look at evidence, look at data, and then formulate strategies. And that's where I'll begin, if you allow me a couple of minutes. Now, in as much as the actually evidence-based study of the Indian Institute of Technology, Kanpur actually, which was submitted to the government of Delhi in 2016 is concerned, they have looked at which are the major factors causing pollution into Delhi. Now, this hasn't changed over the years. This is a 2016 study. Now, they have identified that as far as particulate matter 10 and below is concerned, and even PM 2.5, particulate matter 2.5, it's measured in micrometers. For those contributions, the major factors are actually road dust. One of the speakers previously was using that word. The other major factor is what is called the concrete batching. This is essentially construction industry. Then, of course, industrial pollution. Please remember, Delhi has one of the highest concentrations of small-scale industries, Delhi and NCR, and some of the farmers were referring to it. And then, of course, the vehicular contributions to pollution. These are the the top four ones, as per the IIT Kanpur study. We can debate it, but we all know, and of course, Parali burning has a contribution, but it's only seasonal. And we were debating it. The extent of it is not the way it was put in the show, the major extent. So in some ways, this is how we need to sort of adopt in terms of making Delhi a green city. So a green recovery pathways means what? Now, in as much as Parali burning is concerned, Devika ji, this is what I would like to say. The sustainable technological solutions which have been developed by Indian Institute of Agricultural Research and others need to be implemented on the ground. That will help farmers, but the farmers were presenting some of the challenges in adapting or adopting some of those technologies. They're asking for incentives. Please remember, these solutions are also labor displacing. Please remember, there's a whole range of landless agricultural workers who find some work in actually cleaning up. So I think while technological implementation has to be done, let's also remember there's a fundamental problem. And this fundamental problem is with reference to the agricultural transformation, the agroecological transformation that is needed not just in Punjab, all over India, but here we are talking of Punjab. The stalwart MS Swaminathan passed away some days ago, and I'll take the time to not only remember him, but also to see what he did. He started off as a Green Revolution champion, and through his life ended up as a champion for sustainable agriculture, for ecological agriculture. So I do think an ecological transition will help, but that's a medium-term measure. Now, coming back to Delhi, let me quickly point out a series of steps, which essentially some of the other speakers have touched on, but I'll elaborate in short points. First of all, I do think we need real-time monitoring and real-time strict monitoring and a zero-tolerance policy as far as pollution goes with reference to industries in Delhi and in the NCR territory. My second point goes to very strict surveillance on the construction sites of the kind of contributions they create to pollution and stopping those. Now, this is not once in a year activity, as was pointed out. This needs to be done throughout the year. The problem with the graded response action plan, which the Honorable Minister was speaking to, and it was welcome what he spoke, is that we tend to be responsive and only do those actions once pollution levels have risen very high, once AQI levels have risen very high. So we need a year-round implementation of the different phases of the graded response action program, the National Air Quality Program, which the central government has launched. These need much more comprehensive implementation. We also need, very quickly, Devika ji, we also need very strong measures to green Delhi. Greening Delhi means recovering urban commons, developing, we need to continue that. Delhi, remember, was a very, very green city. So we need to keep it even bigger, greener. So the urban commons, the water bodies, the greening of the city itself needs to be a very, very strongly financed public and government initiative. I also do think, Devika ji, that this whole question of public transport, the Honorable Minister was announcing some measures under GRAP 2 right now. But I also do think the last mile connectivity, the increase in rapidity of public transport, the question of affordability of public transport for those who are not using the metros, the question of public bus transport, the question of developing cycling paths, these are pathways needed. Remember that while we did see response from 2016, we've had progression. I must say this, through these policy actions, not a major progression, but remember, this is a complex issue.
Mr. Chachra, talking about transport specifically, about transport, you're saying cycling. You really think it's possible to cycle anywhere in Delhi?
We need to develop, you're right. See, the Delhi government...
I'm saying, let's develop the tracks for it.
Yes,
let's have the infrastructure in place. Do you really feel that it's possible to cycle around Delhi, given the sort of, just the sheer heat that we have for almost 5 to 6 months of the year? You really think it's possible?
First of all, ma'am, I think I want to say that we need to have the infrastructure and we need to see that social transformation happen. I think all major cities of the world need to get there. I advise the UN Habitat's World Urban Campaign, and you're right about the weather patterns. But there are still 6 months in a year, 7 months in a year, where people can and should be encouraged to take up this less polluting transport methods.
Yeah, but as soon as that time comes, we have a smoke screen, right? So that's the problem. 6 months you have heat, another 3 months you're then dealing with smoke all over the national capital. How much does that even leave? That literally leaves you with 3 months. So for 3 months, all Delhiites are out cycling on the streets, and then the rest of the time they're trying to figure out what to do.
No, but this distinction is artificial, Devika ji. But if you're going in a bus, you also inhale as much of that polluted air as you do while cycling, as you do while walking. Please remember, these are very socially, the impact is very socially disaggregated. The workers who are working in Delhi, the construction workers, the cleaners of the city, those ones who are making life possible in the city, the domestic workers, they do not have a choice. They have
Exactly.
So they have to get to work every day. Whether they get to work by cycles, whether they get to work by unaffordable public transport, or whether they wait hours for the kind of last mile services. So I think there's a complex issue.
I'm glad that you raised